welcome to my channel. So I filmed a video where I planned out my first week of school, and this is what I came up with, and this is all in my digital planner. But after talking with some of my colleagues today, I want to make some changes, and just some of these things are definitely staying the same and like right where they are, but other things are going to change. So I'm just going to figure some of that stuff out. So the first thing that I want to change was on Friday, I wanted to start content, and after talking to my colleagues, I don't think that's going to be the best idea. So right now what they're saying is that our rosters are highly likely to change and fluctuate throughout the first week, and that it would just be best to not get into content at all the first week, and that's what we all agreed on. So I want to really maximize that first week for going through different tools that we're using and really train students on how to use them, which was something that I was going to hit on each tool throughout this week almost. So I'm going to make sure that that's included. So this year I have 3 preps. I have geometry, that's my regular like on-level class that would take the Regents at the end of the year, assuming we have one. I have general geometry, which is a class for students where they get to learn geometry, but they don't have to take the Regents at the end of the year. And this course is targeted at students that struggled through Algebra 1. And then I have pre-calculus in the first semester, and that will transition to calculus in the second semester, and those are college courses. So the page before this one, I just put in a lined page. That's what I love about this digital planner, or any digital planner, is I can move the pages around just so that it works more easily for me. And these are some of the activities that I've come up with. So this year, our periods are 30 minutes. We are meeting for synchronous instruction during those 30-minute periods. And I have this list of tools right here that I want my students to become familiar with. So we have Google Meet, Classroom Forms. And now when I talk about slides, they already know how to use slides, but I want to go over how to do activities in slides because I know that's probably new. Jamboard, which is new to me. I knew it existed, but I didn't really know what it did or played with it until recently. And like I said, Edpuzzle I learned about yesterday, and Nearpod I'm learning about tomorrow. So I took my list, which we saw kind of here spaced out over different days, and I went through and kind of highlighted them for when I wanted to do certain things. So anything that I wanted to do in class, I highlighted in orange, and the things that I'd want to do in class would be going over expectations, and these would be the expectations from our school, and mostly they're regarding how to conduct oneself in Google Meet. So I wanted to go over that, and I also wanted them to, during that meet, install the Nod extension in, that's an O there, I don't know what happened. I think I partially erased it. So the Nod extension is something I learned about yesterday, and it's something that you can add in that works with Google Meet that allows students to show a thumbs up, a thumbs down, clapping. There's some other reactions that students could have, but they're having a live reaction to what's going on in your Google Meet, which is just another way for them to participate, and something that I was looking for because I went down the list and I said you could type something in the chat, you could turn your camera on, you could unmute yourself and speak, and those are things that are automatically built into Google Meet. And I want to give students the option. Our school is not forcing students to turn their camera on, and I agree, but that does make it harder to know whether or not a student's participating. So I wanted to be very clear that they have these different avenues to participate. So I'm going to go back to this page, and I'm going to go up here to these 3 dots, and I'm going to hit clear page because I want to just start fresh. And talking about Google Meet is going to be happening on Monday, so that was our expectations and adding in the Nod extension. Okay, so I have that accounted for. I'm going to just do a little check because those are good. The welcome survey. The welcome survey is going to be a Google form, and that's something that I want students to do before class begins. So that's going to be a pre-class activity. Also, the Google Classroom tour, that is something I have up currently in my classroom, and I put it in the stream so that students will see it right away. And it's mostly me like saying welcome, but then I do go over where to find things in Google Classroom. Okay, so I just put welcome survey in video, and then we have the expectations, the Nod extension, And then after that, mostly on the first day, I want to focus on just getting to know my students. So we're just going to be chatting in the Meet, but we might do like a very simple game, or not even a game, but just so I can hear from my students. So I think I'll ask each student to share a fact about themselves. And this was something I saw from Monica Genta, who is my new favorite person. So you can connect with her on Instagram, Monica Genta Ed, or listen to her podcast, which is just so amazing. It's going to infuse you with so much energy and passion. It's called This Teacher Life. And the idea was, have you ever asked someone for like a fun fact, like tell me a fun fact about yourself, and then you have all this pressure on you to think of something good and exciting. So instead of asking for a fun fact, I want to ask for a very lame or like mundane fact, or I can just simply say, tell me a fact about yourself. So let me just go through some more ideas for when I want to do these things. The tech survey will be something that needs to happen before class because it's a form and I don't really want to spend our 30 minutes just waiting for them to fill out a form. Every week I'll be doing a check-in survey. I did that during distance learning in the spring and loved it. So I'll definitely be continuing with that. And last time I went through the planning, anything that was extra time, I gave it its own color. So that would be for me the birthday game and Fingers Down Math Edition, which I didn't have time for previously, but I might have time for it now that I'm trying to plan for 5 days. I definitely plan to go through class norms and creating a community definition of respect. So that's going to be done on Google Forms and Jamboard. So that was something that's definitely happening during class and that needs to happen synchronously. And so where I'm kind of stuck right now is looking at the Desmos tour and email etiquette. So email etiquette is a set of slides that I purchased on Teachers Pay Teachers. I just had to fix how that's spelled. So it's a set of slides that I purchased from Teachers Pay Teachers, and I don't know much about Nearpod yet, but it looks like if I have slides, I can add questions to them to like check in with students and do that on Nearpod. And I think I'm going to figure out how to do that during class. It looks like that has some synchronous opportunities there. So fingers crossed that that works out. Now, when it comes to doing the Desmos tour on Edpuzzle, that's mostly like a student-paced kind of thing, which it sounds like Nearpod could also work that way too. So I'm thinking about if that's going to be student-paced, should that be something we do in class together or something that we do independently? So I think what I'm going to do is have it be something that we're doing during class, because that way I'll be able to answer questions and just help students with Edpuzzle. So I'll let them work on that on their own and then have the Meet still going, but try to give them some quiet time to get through Desmos. Okay, so for the last two things I have here, Mathography, that's going to be an assignment that students complete on their own. So that's just gonna get its own category there, and that's gonna help them with Google Classroom and just turning something in. So if you can have something for them to turn in that's very low stakes, like there's not anything that they have to do out of the ordinary, like they're not working on math problems. Instead, they're just typing and telling me about themselves. So just to have like low stakes assignments at the beginning, so students just are more focused on turning the assignment in rather than how they're completing it and making sure that it's perfect. And then the other thing is back to school bingo. So that's like a getting to know you game. So part of it's going to have to be done independently as an assignment, and the other part is going to be happening during class. So I'll link that in the description box below, but back to school bingo is a game for students to play in slides, and it's set up like a bingo card. They add facts about themselves, and if someone else in the class has those same things in common with them, then they can get a bingo if it's in a certain order. Okay, so I'm re-filming this footage because there's some kind of weird glitch. When I put this into iMovie, there was no sound, but if I play the video, there's sound. It's just so weird. So now that I'm refilming this on Friday night, if you hear screaming in the background, that is the sounds of my husband occupying my son so I could do this. So this is real life. So I know Monday, we already talked about what was happening here. Along the bottom here, I just wrote out the tool that we're focusing on for the day. And to be honest, some of this has already changed. So Tuesday we're going to do a tech survey, and it's actually just called a remote learning survey. So I'm asking students about what technology they have available to them, what tools they're familiar with, which tools they like, and then just asking for what worked for them and what didn't work in the spring. So the green here signifies that that's something that we're going to do before class. So it's going to be like their due now is to work on that survey. And then we're going to go over the policies specific to each class regarding grading, turning in late work, absences, etc. And we're going to talk about back to school bingo. So actually I moved this to Monday. So I'm assigning it Monday, again Tuesday, and then we're actually going to do that in class on Wednesday. On Wednesday, class norms is going to be a survey that they get at the beginning of class. And then after we do our back to school bingo, we're going to talk about class norms together as a class. So I wanted to give them a form so I knew which student had which input, and to give them a chance to brainstorm so that when we do this part, we can do it on Jamboard. Right now, I actually have it set up in Nearpod because I love Nearpod, but Jamboard would be my backup plan for that day. And then their assignment is a mathography. It's like a biography of how math has been for them over the years. And so then that assignment will be due on Friday. Thursday, they're going to have a Desmos tour, and I'm going to make that the thing that they do when they start class. It's going to be an Edpuzzle, which most of them are already going to be familiar with from their previous teacher. But just in case, I'll be there as we go over it. And then we have the community definition of respect. That is happening on Jamboard. So Jamboard's going to be kind of moved over here along with Edpuzzle. And then Friday, we're going to do a check-in survey. So it's like a weekly check-in. I did those all throughout the spring, and it was very, very valuable. So I'm excited to continue that. And then we have an email etiquette lesson that I put into Nearpod. There were breaks in there for brainstorming. So I'm going to use the Collaborate board with Nearpod just so that students can see each other's responses. And I decided that for class norms, so when we actually talk about everything together as a class, Nearpod would be better than doing Jamboard, because on the Collaborate board, there's a little heart on the notes that students add where students can kind of support each other's ideas and statements, and that'll kind of help us determine which norms we all agree with. And the last idea I have is Four Corners, which I don't think I had on my original list. So Four Corners is when you take your screen, like on Jamboard, and split it up into 4 quadrants. And one quadrant is for strongly agree, another for agree, then disagree, and strongly disagree. So I'm going to give students some statements and have them put their name on a Post-it note and drag their name to whichever quadrant fits for them. And then when it comes to things like the birthday game or the Fingers Down Math Edition, these are things that could be used to fill in time if we finish early. The birthday game is something I might not do this week. I might save it for later in the year. So overall, throughout the week, I tried not to put too much into a single day. I'm trying to underplan, and if we have extra time, then use that time to connect with my students. So of course, I'm trying to wrap up this video. And if you are new to my channel, when I first did a Plan With Me video 2 years ago, it was a disaster. I had to try it 5 different times to actually get a Plan With Me video up. And I'm just reflecting on now how I'm having difficulties again. And as I was trying to wrap this up, my mom started FaceTiming. So this is my plan for the first week of school. I'm very excited and can't wait to talk about how it all goes. I feel like I'm probably one of the last people starting school, so I'm sure you've started school by now. And please tell me how it's gone in the comments and what you learned so far. And as always, thanks for watching.